There we
And
are.
then we got Pam Gray's cat is doing really, really well. Andrea's cat, as they are in the process of moving, is being taken care of, will return soon. You may not notice Andrea. We've always noticed the cat, the thing. Andrea, you know, well, Andrea's Andrea, but the cat is what we've always noticed. It's the giant Norwegian forest cat. Ray has been looked after by his cats, who have been caregivers, actually, for the last year and a half, as he's recovered from medical issues. And his reading with us today is in a sense a miracle. So we got Andrea with us, Judy and Rick. Digit Grimmy, who, by the way, you might want to know, Digit Grimmy passed a big test, so he's an official hacker now. His company can use him to go hack after other hackers, literally, legally, who've hacked into their system. I saw a picture of Chris. She looks like she's 18. I want to know, tell her before she can do anything more at All Souls, we want to know what salves and lotions and potions she's using to look so young. All right, so we got Chris Lee in Taiwan, Danny Sorkin in New York, Cecilia Alessandro down the street, packing care of Miami, Bobby Vance in Kissimmee, Alan and Eddie are New York, Maureen is down near Far Country, Kay Schweitzer is 10 miles west of Merritt Island, Pam Gray is in Forest Hills, Karen Paul is in Coral Gables, Pat Sullivan is in New York, Forest Hills, Ray is in Washington Heights, Digit is in the fabulous metropolis of Oldsmar. Oldsmar, as you well know, is 2 miles, square miles, right on top of Tampa Bay. And Andrea is out. This is interesting. Andrea is about an hour from Michelle. Michelle is in Winfield, and Andrea and Ren, her wife is about what was the name of that famous hippie place that had the thing? What's the name of the town you're in?
Woodstock.
Woodstock. Yes, Woodstock. So we were all over the place. Woodstock, Illinois, Miami, Oldsmar, Washington Heights, Forest Hills, Coral Gables, Washington Heights. Coral Gables, west of Merritt Island, down near the farmland of the Redland, Kissimmee, Miami, 2 more in New York, Manhattan, Alan and Edward. Cecilia's here in Miami. Danny Sorkin is in, what is home of Groundhog Day?
Forest Hills.
Are you serious?
Yes.
The Forest Hills is home of Groundhog Day?
Exactly, right. We have the original groundhog.
An outrage. My whole image of Forest Hills is now changed completely. All right, and Chris Lee is in Taiwan, a friend of Digit's. She wanted to get an idea of what we do, and I reminded her this is not typical Christianity. It is a very interesting hybrid of all kinds of stuff. She giggled and she said, "Oh, this looks good." So we're glad to have Chris with us this morning. Okay, somebody else made it in. Let's see, Alan Eddie. Okay, some announcements. April 28th, 2 weeks from today, Michelle will be with us. Bobby Vance will be reading. I'll be assisting, and Digit will be doing hacking with us. Mary Grimmy is his mother. Forest Hills, Frank, the original groundhog. Mary Grimmy is with us. Okay, birthdays. I didn't realize we didn't have Pam Gray's birthday. So let me remind everybody, if you've never heard or gotten something from Judy for your birthday, or you haven't received a phone call from me, let me know immediately, because we try to honor your birthday. You get a very lovely, kind, wonderful note from Judy. And then you get an obnoxious phone call from me saying, "You're old." Yes. And people say, "Why? You calling again?" Yes. So we have ways of honoring you. If you haven't gotten a call, the call, which is free, by the way, or a wonderful, kind note from Judy, please let us know. Rowena Wallach is in this morning with us, too. Rowena is down in Cutler Bay. Cutler Bay used to be a town of about 5,000. It is now 50,000. Yes. Birthdays. So if you haven't heard from birthday, please get it in. Connections. Connections has turned out to be a tremendous important thing in the life of All Souls. We meet twice a month or more if we have to. If we have to. It is meets on Thursdays from 6:30 to 7:30, and people just really share things that have been bothering them mentally, emotionally, or physically. It is a well attended and caring community of everybody. And there's genuine sharing and caring. It has been absolutely incredibly helpful to those that are there. So I ask you to, if they're having a rough week, a rough day, emotionally, faithfully, spiritually, anyway, please come to Connections. All right. Also have joined us is Chris Diaz, our polyglot who can speak like 10 languages well. And how he gets the accents down of anything in Nordic, I have no idea. The I have no, he does it really, really well. Maureen Solomon, can you give us a good morning in Denmark? In Danish?
Godmorgen. Hvordan går det med jer?
Okay, Chris, can you do it in Farsi?
صبح بخمگی.
I give up. There you go. Perfect Farsi and Danish. I mean, what can I tell you? So here we are this morning. Okay, giving. I just need to remind everybody, anything that you can give financially is deeply appreciated. We are supported totally by free giving. And we have a lot of people who have if no money at all, and they are always totally welcome here. Sometimes you give of your time, sometimes you give of your effort. And if you're able, financially is deeply appreciated too. Pride, Miami Beach Pride today at noontime, starts at noon. We send our blessings to all our gay members who are already on the way there. 2 board members are on the way there. We send our blessings. The Los Angeles Blade pointed out that last year, 170,000 people attended the Miami Beach Gay Pride Parade, 170,000. The weather should be excellent today, and we wish our blessings on them as well. And finally, one last note, and I say this pastorally, Tom Capo, a very wonderful minister, is going to be leaving UU Miami. And some people have asked, well, Kenneth, what happens to you? I just remind you all that I am still here. We'll still be preaching, working on the team, still doing pastoral care, and still doing Connections. So usually when a minister leaves in town, that always raises questions. It naturally does. He'll be off to Vero Beach in June, and we wish him well and wish him a beautiful ministry there. And our thoughts and prayers go with UU Miami as they will now figure out what they want to do in their new ministry. Cindy and Larry Deesh are with us. So one more time, as we have a wonderful day here today. And Gail and Tom are back from a big trip. Gail and Tom, you're supposed to send us pictures. Okay. So one more time, Andrea Hawkins, who you can realize is missing. She is without that thing, that enormous cat. She is, I mean, I'm not saying you aren't here, but it's just, yeah. Judy and Rick are here this morning. Again, one more time, Digit Grimmy passed the hacking thing. What is that thing called? What is that language called?
It's the Linux server admin.
Nikki Linguist is with us this morning.
Hello.
Okay, let's start again. Okay, one more time. Andrea is out in the wilds, literally the wilds of Illinois, an hour west of Chicago. Rick and Judy are here in town. Digit of hacking fame is in the great metropolis of Oldsmar, 2 square miles at the top of Tampa Bay. Pat and Cares enjoying us too much is in Miami. Pam Gray is in Forest Hills. Gail and Tom are in Port Orange. Nikki Lindquist is in Cutler Bay. Mary Grimmy is in Tampa. Are you in Oldsmar too? Rowena, you have a new neighbor now. Nikki Lindquist probably lives a couple of miles from you in Cutler Bay. So when I'm going to visit, pay attention, Ricky. Rowena, I'll be making an appointment to visit both of you in a week or so.
Good.
Say you both.
Well,
Okay.
let's get our phone numbers and addresses out of that and get together.
All righty.
All right.
Paul is in Coral Gables. Pat Sullivan is in Forest Hill, home of Groundhog Day. I'll never get over this. Ray Roldan in Washington Heights, Kay Schweitzer west of Merritt Island, Maureen Sullivan down near the Redland, Alan and Eddie in Manhattan, Cecilia Alessandro here, Danny Sorkin in Forest Hills, Chris Lee in Taiwan, Bobby Vance in Kissimmee, Cindy and Larry Deach in Port Orange, and Chris Diaz in North Miami. Welcome, welcome, welcome to you all. And before we begin, I want to light the candle, the memorial candle today, and I hope you can appreciate where this is coming from. You know, we seem as a species to really, really undervalue our own as a species. As you know, there was a missile and cruise attack from Iran on Israel. And the news reported today, and I was so sad when I read this, the only casualty was a 10-year-old girl from a totally marginalized community in Israel, the Bedouins. Made no mention of her family, no mention of her name, but just said from a totally marginalized community as if they don't count. And that really upset me. A 10-year-old girl who didn't know Iran, was not interested in politics, out in the desert with an ancient tribal community, and is now dead. We don't know her name. We don't know her family. We don't know her Bedouins, but let us hold them dear. Let us hold them dear and light a candle for that poor girl. May she rest in peace, for her family, for her tribe, in the desert trying to survive in the 21st century. Let us hold them dear. Let us light a candle in her honor, in her memory. May it be so. Our introit, fanfare to the common man. Our call to worship, for those of you who wish, I will read the blue and asking you if you would read that which is in green. The universe speaks in many languages, but only one voice. It speaks in the language of hope. It speaks in the language of trust. It speaks in the language of strength and the language of compassion. It is the language of the heart and the language of the soul. But always that voice is the same voice. It is the voice of our ancestors speaking through us, and the voice of our inheritors waiting to be born. It is the small, still voice that says, "We are one." And for those who wish, would read with me the morning prayer. Most holy God, divine source known by so many names and none, I seek today help in your healing hand. In you all things are possible. Hold my heart within yours and renew my mind, body, and soul. I am harder than I wish to be, but remember grace. Selah. That is the first time I've ever heard that. Thank you very, very much for picking that, Andrea. That is just, it could almost be All Souls' theme song. What a beautiful, beautiful song. Thank you. Thank you. We will hear that again, folks. We will hear that again. We will hear that again. Our reading by Ray Roldan. Thank you very much, Ray.
Good morning. Letting Go with Grace by Alyssa Underwood. There's a peculiar kind of beauty that can only be experienced with the innate knowledge that the moment is fleeting, and the most intense beauty can only be seen in the presence of both light and shadows. For it is often in the loss of a thing that its worth to us becomes most precious, and by letting it go with grace, we can best savor its purest delights. Realizing that The pain runs so deeply only because the beauty ran so deep, and that without it having once touched us, we wouldn't now know the emptiness of its loss. Our grief will eventually turn to thankfulness, and that it ever touched us all, and we will be left awed by the mystery of its haunting.
The responsive reading, if you'd be kind enough to read that which is in green. Let all of your concerns, let go of all of your concerns, but if just for this moment, breathe in, hold, breathe out, breathe in, hold, breathe out. Just as Richard Ward challenges us to transform our pain before we transmit it, Brennan Manning challenges us to accept that we are radically loved by the divine. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, without. We journey together. We struggle together. We dance together. We breathe together. We thrive together. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. Breathe in, hold, breathe out. We are people in community, loving ourselves and loving the world. Join together in an affirmation of ourselves to ourselves. I am loved. You are loved. We are loved. Again, make it a cacophony. I am loved. You are loved. We are loved. Amen. And again, Ray Roldan is reading from the Gospel of Luke today.
Luke 24, verses 13 to 32. Two travelers heading to Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem, were talking with each other about everything that had happened to Jesus in the preceding days. They were distracted and did not notice when the disguised Jesus started traveling along with them. He asked the travelers, "What are you talking about?" They paused briefly, looking sad. One of the travelers, a man named Cleopas, answered, "Have you been living under a rock? Have you not heard about Jesus of Nazareth and what happened to him?" Jesus replied, "What happened to him?" Cleopas said to him, "Jesus of Nazareth, prophet mighty indeed, and word before God and all the people, has been killed. Our chief priests and rulers condemned him to death and convinced the Romans to crucify him. He was going to free us from Rome, so we hoped. And today is the third day since he was crucified." In time, they drew near to the village to which they were going. Jesus acted as if he were going further, but they urged him strongly, saying, "Stay with us, for it is toward evening, and the day is now far spent." He was convinced and went in to stay with them. At the table, Jesus took the bread, blessed it, and broke it before giving it to them. Their eyes opened. They recognized him, and he vanished, leaving them amazed.
Two weeks ago, I helped my spouse and their family celebrate the life of my brother-in-law. He was a giant human with a giant heart that hid within his rough-hewn exterior. And that was not easy work. But it was work that was made much easier by the work of preparing for ministry, the work of being in partnership with the same funeral home that took care of their father a decade prior. And during it all, we felt your prayers, your thoughts, and your love. Thank you. It meant the world to the entire family. Thank you. As I prepared for the share, I kept coming back to the ideas of travel, movement, companionship, and As I prepared for the share, I kept coming back to the ideas of travel, movement, and companionship in the moment. For me, it starts with this Emmaus story, the story in the Gospel of Luke about two travelers meeting Jesus after the crucifixion, but not knowing it is Jesus until later that evening at dinner. So I did what any self-respecting scholar with a penchant for dead languages and a healthy distrust of empire would do. I spent 3 days searching down digital copies of early texts and doing a lot of boring work that I immediately regretted. Because as it turns out, my ancient Greek skills are ancient. I eventually reached a place where I was comfortable with my work, which is what formed the Luke 24 reading earlier. And if the story is to be trusted, I find this version much more trustworthy than the one that we are given in most modern biblical texts. Your mileage, however, may vary. The point of all of this is that in the story, Jesus, a human, travels with Cleopas, a human, and another person, a human, from Jerusalem to Emmaus by foot. 3 humans walking, talking, breathing, doing the thing, keeping safe on the road together. And it was only when they got all the way to Emmaus and had dinner together that things went sideways. That part is not the point. Companionship on the road, companionship in the moment is the point. Everyone kept their sandals on. Remember that part. It's important. Story time. My 18th birthday, somewhere around the Mesozoic era, was a certified banger, which I believe is the correct terminology, as I spent the better part of a week in a recliner listening to Pink Floyd on repeat and recovering from having my wisdom teeth removed. Now, I may be too young to have had that quintessential 60s or 70s Gen X experience, but I gained a new understanding of the other half of my generation that week. The oral surgery was an unpleasant surprise to our family's packed post-Christmas calendar. My birthday, you see, arrives just 2 weeks after Christmas. Christmas, a week later, New Year's, a week later, my birthday. And that happens just about when pep band and state band competitions begin in earnest. I was also going on a senior retreat the weekend immediately after my birthday. The one thing the Kamper lineage does well is everything all at once. And Mr. Murphy had stepped into the batter's box looking to hit for the cycle. The retreat that I was going on was the Methodist Chrysalis retreat. And it was a retreat designed for young adults based on the Adults Only Road to Emmaus retreat, itself based on the Catholic Cursillo Lay Development retreat, itself based on a different version of that story from the Gospel of Luke, which is background information. There is no quiz. The important part, aside from the sandals, is how that retreat shaped my call to ministry, shaped my understanding of our shared call to do good in the world, and all of which originated from a single sentence spoken in the dark, a John 1:5 sentence specifically. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not overcome it. That particular sentence has reappeared throughout my life, inviting me into a deeper relationship with that which is God, the ultimate, the divine source known by so many names and none. Over the years, I've heard that phrase differently, depending on where I was and what I was doing at the time. Understood replaced overcome, exists, replaced shines. You get the idea. Different words, same meaning. Dead languages are fun. Subtle shifts in translations sometimes open entire new vistas of understanding. And there is something about that sentence, something about the duality of how it keeps bringing me back that warrants a deeper look. Maybe it's the Gnostic in me. Maybe it's just the curmudgeon. I don't know. The light keeps shining through. Heck, I even heard that phrase once while I was driving up the side of a mountain in Colorado. Admittedly, what I heard then was, in the mountains, you remember who and what you are called to be, which is an entirely different sentence, but it's the same words, the same meaning, just a different medium. In the end, we could metaphor this and we could exegesis that. The psychoanalysts will win with an inside straight flush. What we all seek is companionship in the moment of the now. In the Hebrew scriptures, there is a story of Joshua, who one day, when he was near the city of Jericho, came across a young man playing on the fiddle and sawing it hot. Wait, sorry, wrong song. Came across a young man with a sword, and he asked him, "Are you with us or for our enemies?" The young man famously replied, "Neither, and you should take off your sandals, because this is holy ground." The stuff that happened is not really relevant right now. Because just as there was when Moses hid his face from a burning bush and took his sandals off, there was a moment of companionship in the now. The light shone through, as it were, which, when the light shines through, gives us a little bit of grace to breathe. When things have become a little too real, when we need to let go of the casual and causal hurts we humans and those divines and that universe can lay on top of us. To breathe, yes, to let go. To grieve the what could have been and what now will never be, but also to celebrate the what is and what shall become. A United Methodist youth retreat may have shaped my call to ministry, but it sure did not define it. A Unitarian Universalist seminary may have framed my vocation of ministry, but again, it does not define it. There's a congregation in Florida that journeys with me and I with them, encouraging each other as we seek the people in the world who want nothing more than the gentle touch of a compassionate soul. People yearning for the presence of now. People who need a companion through the darkness. People who need a light. People who are waiting for us. So, my friends, this morning, let me empower you. You are that light to more people than you can possibly know. People you have cared for, care for others who care for still more humans journeying along their own Emmaus roads. And it's going to look different for them than it does for me or for you. Each of us is driven by a need to connect, a desire to light the spark of something transcendent and wonderful. We are not stilled sandals in the dirt, removed from the feet of the body human. We are sandals in motion, hearts aflame in desire for the common work of connection and restoration, of creating and maintaining the covenants that bind us together as Unitarian Universalists. We are, after all, companions, journeying together, all in the service of love. We are holy ground everywhere we go. Selah.
We have, since the beginning, offered bread and cup. It comes from Jesus sharing in his lifetime riff-raff, publicans, sinners, people who cause trouble everywhere, outcasts, and the like. If you ever read the Gospels, the people he broke bread with would probably not be welcome in most congregations. The words publicans, sinners, I need to remind you, is all of us. And think of those two people on the road to Emmaus at the end of the journey. They were not wearing white. They did not smell good. They were sweaty, and they were a mess. He takes bread and blesses it and gives it as a common meal. We are about the business of the journey, the common meal, the riffraff, welcoming all. We try to welcome all. We try to enjoy that which binds us. Breathe in, breathe out, hold, sing, dance, cry, hold each other close, and even smile if we can. Bread and cup we offer to all as a symbolic moment of welcome and affirming and welcoming you to be part and with us whenever we gather. We take comfort in strange words for a liturgical service. Winnie the Pooh gives us great words, and I ask you to repeat after me the following words. Promise me you'll remember. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. God didn't promise days without pain, laughter without sorrows, and sun without rain. But the divine did promise strength for the day, comfort for the tears, and light for the way. I made the mistake of including the word Easter. Forget the word Easter when we use this concluding prayer by Andrea. Just forget the word Easter. We're going to just say the word day. Oh, thank you, Donald. Hacking skills are great. In the beauty and the stillness of this day, which we all keep in our own way, may peace be in your heart, joy in your movements, faith in your breathing, and hope in your presence. Let us all be a wordless prayer of joyful dance and song, hailing the future, hailing creation. Selah. And of course, we would conclude following the Indigo Girls with a blessing that's Irish and Hindu, of course. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and may the rains fall softly upon your fields. And when we meet again, may the divine in me greet and embrace the divine in you. Be at peace. Amen. Well, thank you all so much for being here today. I want to share something personally with you, and this is not to embarrass Andrea. As I am now old, I want to tell you, I think it is one of the greatest joys of my life to be able to listen to Andrea and Larry and Michelle, and to get the differences of way they share and what they share. It is a blessing, an absolute blessing to me to listen to Michelle and Andrea and Larry. It's like, what a way to grow old. What a way to stay alive. What a way to be in the world at the same time. Secondly, a big hug to Ray Roldan. This is his first time publicly reading in over a year and a half. He went through not one, but 2 strokes. Did you listen to him read today? And on top of that, his favorite young tween cat passed away unexpectedly last night. So he was dealing with grief, rose to the occasion. How, I have no idea. And so big hugs and blessings to Ray. I want you to pie Gail and Tom, who went away again for another great trip and didn't send and had too much fun and had way too much fun. And thank you all for being here. Nikki, we've got to introduce you to Rowena. Rowena, we've got to introduce you to Nikki because you're in that enormous town called Cutler Bay. Thank you all for being here. We will be in touch soon. Blessings to you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ken.